what do you want to see? Not what do you want to do, not what do you want to get done, but just what do you want to see this year? What did you see last year? What's missing? What are you longing for?
Help Me See is a podcast that redefines the word vision through vulnerable and real conversations, my own private introspective ramblings about the things that I think about in the wee hours of the morning, and my deep core belief that your nothingness is your everything, and all you have to do is see. I'm Bianca Mora. I'm your host. I am an educator, a photographic artist, and I believe that your daily photo habit can be the key to unlocking the ability to be more present in your everyday life and live deeper into your intention and purpose. We're not about the small talk here. Grab your coffee, get cozy, and let's talk.
So if you're anything like me, the start of a new year can kind of feel daunting. It actually kind of feels crappy to me as well. It feels like overwhelming and a little bit depressing, like the holidays are over, and it feels really big. It feels really big to feel there's a tradition of deciding on a new trajectory. And I don't really like it, and I also love it. Fuck. So regardless of what I decide I want to do in 2023, who I want to be is someone that's action oriented. And that's something that I'm more comfortable committing to, because things change. And when you decide on a plan and you change throughout the year, if it doesn't feel right anymore, it doesn't feel right. It always feels crappy to kind of abandon things. So I kind of feel like deciding who you want to be feels better. And I spend a lot of my life inward, inside this scary little brain of mine. And although I love it, I'm a true deep introvert. I feel like it's doing my life a disservice. And I really, really feel alive when I am in conversation and in community with like-minded souls. So with that said, before I launch my new course and program that's coming out and reopen Manifest Your Memories, I'm doing a free visioning workshop. Help Me See visioning workshop. So if you listen to last week's episode, I kind of gave a little bit of a challenge, and it excited me so much. I decided I wanted to do it with anyone that would love to join me in person and live. So basically on this call, I want to hold space for you to take a moment, breathe. Let's just stay there, actually. Take a moment. Take some space and have something on your calendar, a little block on your calendar that is your time to just think about, what do you want to see? Not what do you want to do, not what do you want to get done, but just what do you want to see this year? What did you see last year? What's missing? What are you longing for? If you're listening to this podcast, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that you are an intentional, sensitive, and visionary soul that sees all of the layers in all of the things in life. And, it can be really, really overwhelming. Oftentimes, I feel like I see things in so many layers, and I see and find so much meaning that it's actually paralyzing for me. And it prohibits me from taking action because it's just too much. So I think that workshops, meetings, connection, accountability like this kind of helps us bring out a clarifying voice in ourselves. So this is not really about pulling goals out of our ass and deciding on something that we want to do based on the fact that everyone in the world is wanting to commit to a new version of themselves. This is not that. This is connecting deeper to your vision and connecting deeper to the life that you know that you want to live. So, it's actually funny. My favorite pieces of art and my most favorite thing to create is something that feels achy. Makes me feel so tender. It kind of hurts. And something that feels completely strange and brand new, but also oddly familiar. And what this could look like is, I don't know, for some reason right now, I'm thinking about a picture I took of one of my clients. She was pregnant and she was like waving a wand of bubbles and her arm was just in a really weird position. And she was in this bright yellow dress and there was a chain link fence behind her. And it was just such an odd, quote unquote, unnatural image and pose. It wasn't a pose by any means. It was just her living life. But it was also the most natural and the most gorgeous. And I recognized that movement somewhere in my soul, and that intangible soul recognition is, I think, what helps us to know that we're on the right path. It doesn't have to, it's like the subliminal, the subconscious vision that I was talking about in the last call. It's like you recognize it and to trust that, even if it doesn't look like what you've seen before. So this call that we're going to have, this workshop, is all about that. It's deciding what is it that you want to see and talking about how to do the dance of being intentional about what you want to see, but also being open to so much more and so much better. Because we can never call out the most amazing things that we'll see in our lifetimes ahead of time. That's the stuff that we just happen upon. So if you want to join me, there's a link in the show notes to sign up. This is for artists. I think everyone's an artist, photographic artist. And even if you are not a professional photographic artist, if you are someone that loves taking photographs just with your phone in your normal life, I'm sure that this will benefit you as well. This is really just something that I want to do for myself. And I think that it would be a hell of a lot more enriching to be able to meet and connect and talk with other like-minded souls about this and to just be able to say it out loud. All the stuff I say in my head gets kind of muffled by all the other noise in my head and the cobwebs and whatnot. So sometimes just having a space to be able to say out loud something, even if it feels super tiny and small, and it's just really important. One of the reasons why I feel so strongly about kind of bringing to light the photographic medium and its possibilities and its opportunities is that I think that we majorly downplay and look over who we are when we're photographing something. And it's like the superpower that we don't tap into consciously, which is also great. But knowing that there's a version of yourself that just takes over when you whip out your phone or you pick your camera up to your face because you see something. That's what this is about. It's about isolating that version of yourself. It's like, oh yes, this, and knowing why that's important. My life's work, my personal life's work will forever be trying to bridge the gap between who I am when I have a camera in my hand, when I'm just like in flow, in zone, just connected to my own vision, and when I'm just moving about my life and not in that headspace, because everything is just perfect and okay and not toxically positive perfect, but I see beauty in everything when I have a camera in my hand. But when I don't, and I don't have that tool to focus me and to be able to shut out all of the noise and point it where I see fit, then I get super overwhelmed. Then I get super frustrated and anxious and scared and confused. It's only when I tap back into, when inspiration strikes or when I see something and I remember, oh, I would take this. I would take a picture of that. Like I'm still honing that muscle of being able to, recognize when I'm in my daily shitstorm, I would take a photo of this, or I will, or, with my phone or with my camera, whatever, what have you. And just plugging into that is so friggin' important. So anyway, what else? I'm going to say here that I have made it a goal of myself to wake up at 5 a.m. Speaking of goals that I never want to commit to, wake up at 5 a.m. just to give myself space to think and space to action. So I only snoozed until 5:45 on the first day. And then today I snoozed until 6:30. So, I mean, obviously not perfect, but I still actioned, and that was important to me. I go downstairs, I take a book, I take a journal, and I drink some coffee, buy the Christmas tree lights. Yes, I still have my Christmas tree up. I don't know when I'm going to take that down. It's actually been really refreshing because what happens is I get all these ideas in the morning, and then I say I'll revisit this later, and then the day happens and I don't revisit, and then I move on to the next thing. And so part of the action that I'm really, really wanting to lean into in this season is being at peace with whatever form completing something takes is good enough. And to be able to trust myself to know the difference between something that's more of a long form project and something that's just something really important to me that I need to get out and create. And I can always revisit and I can always go back and I can always expand. But being too precious about it completely stalls me out. What about you? What are you stalling out on that you just need to do the thing, schedule the thing, put the pen to the paper, take the photo, even if you don't have all the resources that you want for it yet? How can you do it with exactly what you have in this moment now? How can you do it? It makes me think of like the best camera you have is the one you have on you, and oftentimes that's your phone. There have been photographs that I've taken on my phone that I really love that then I'll just pull onto my computer and edit it in my normal software and just see where it goes. And honestly, the lack of data, visual data points or pixels, whatever, is refreshing because it forces you to edit in a way that you're not used to editing, and that leads to other discoveries. And I think staying loose and having this mentality of, just trusting yourself and your vision in the process just helps us experience more of life. It's not even like I get more done. My desire to actually experience more physically rather than experience everything as thoughts in my mind, We'll see. This is my accountability right here, talking about it on the podcast. All right. So I just pulled up to my kids' daycare, and that's a wrap. Again, if you're interested in joining this conversation, if you're interested in talking about and tapping into your unique vision and deciding what you want to see this year and doing it together and using your photographic practice as the tool to keep you awake to it, then head to the show notes, click on the link and sign up. I will be sending a Zoom link when it is time to meet, and I look forward to hearing your thoughts and sharing mine about this favorite topic of mine. Till next time, see ya.
If you enjoyed this episode and want to get in on actual conversations with me, join the Help Me See podcast private Facebook group. Every Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, I'll be hopping on live for Q&A on the latest episode and for free consulting if you need a bit of help thinking about ways to save your memories. Did you get something out of this episode? I really, really, really hope you did, and I would love to hear from you. I'm on a mission to empower you to feel peace knowing that you are not missing your life. One of the best ways that you can support me is leaving a review, and honestly, I'd rather hear about the memory you saved because of this podcast rather than any kind of accolade. Tell me how this podcast has impacted you. And 1, I'll probably cry. And 2, I'd love to give you a shout out on the show. Take a minute and head out to the link in the bio to write a review now on the podcast.